things are hard to see. When you pray to find love, I know somewhere we could be. There's a place where we can go tonight. The rhythm will make it right, where everyone is happy and the sun will shine all night. Good time, let everybody sing. Why don't you let yourself slip out of control? We could have a good time, let everybody sing. Get your feet up on the floor. So when the world feels dark and friends seem hard to find, you know how to light a spark, just to let your worries unwind. When you're down, there's just one way to go. Let us ascend tonight. Everyone could be so happy and the sun will shine all night. Good time, let everybody sing. Why don't you let yourself slip out of control? We could have a good time, let everybody sing. Get your feet up on the floor.
Good morning, everybody. How's it going? It's a lovely day here in Arkansas. It got really cold overnight. I had to wear a hood up while I was running. I put it under my hat to make it stay up because it was not the kind of hoodie that ties, tight. And then what else did I do? I had on gloves. It's 55 now. I think I've got the house warmed up a little bit, but how's everybody today? How are you all doing? We had some rain yesterday. I may be able to get today in my fire pit, y'all. Hopefully. How's everybody's weather there where you are? Hey, Jill. I don't know if you're here. You wrote this before we went live, but hey, Jill. Were you lying about being here or are you really here? Hey, Broken. Thanks for being here early and getting things set up. Hedgehog. Hey, Amber. Yep, the Hedgehog crew is here. Mike, welcome. Welcome. Oh, we got a bad connection again. Don't you hate it when that happens? Let's see. Chicken feet. Get them. Who's in there? Roddy, what's girl? It's not even it's not even stream. When I don't have any internet. I don't have any Roddy is in. I'm here. I got kicked off completely from StreamYard, like completely. Now, were y'all even able to hear me before? I'm so sorry. I have no control over this. The StreamYard's been messing up for a while. So anyway, I hope y'all didn't get all run off while I was gone there for a few seconds. Yeah, I didn't even get to go out and come back in. It completely knocked me out. Hey, Roddy, I was asking you something. It's called. Oh, are you going, Amber? Are you going on the field trip? Raining and overcast. My goodness. 90-mile-per-hour winds broken. 58 degrees in Southern Cal. Purple burnt popcorn. I'm so sorry. Well, I mean, 58's a nice temperature if you're able to stay. I mean, if you don't have a temperature control issue in your body like me, like I go from hot to cold. Am I still choppy? Choppy, choppy. Oh, robots. It's better now. Yep. This is going to be a pain in my booty because I can tell they didn't let parents go. Hey, Jill, you really are here. Oh, you got to have background checks done. I understand that. Well, y'all just tell me because it's showing I've got I've got an unstable connection. And so I think let's just start talking before I try to start sharing everything. We may not have be able to do this today. Roddy, I was asking you, I don't remember. I forgot. Y'all, I am I am really attached to little Quentin Simon, and I went live about him yesterday, and I just watching those videos of his mother and his grandmother, I just I'm not a lie detection expert, but it's making me want to be and want to learn more about it. And we hear like, okay, so I'll just tell you guys who are in here. Like the other day, that YouTuber that we know who well, she lies a lot, right? I'm talking about NC. Like she does lie a lot. And so just like the other day, she was going to stop true crime. And later that night, she was talking about MRB and has been since. So, I'm just, once somebody lies to me, I'm not saying that I never trust them again. There's just always um, that's just always that, side eye, and just taking what they say with a grain of salt because you just don't know if that person if you've been around a pathological liar, which I had a friend like that in high school, I learned not to trust people, and I even went for a long time to the far extreme of not believing anything anybody said because they lied so much. It's hard to have that happy medium, and you look, in true crime, you're gonna see the most lies that you're gonna see anywhere because these people are under pressure. They've done bad things they're trying to get out of. They have a lot of times they have rap sheets. And so they're, and sometimes they're able to lie, like, and get away with it. I'm just saying. So the other day when this isn't about NC, but the other day, this just got me thinking when she said, okay, your grandmother had an emergency and you are in the back of an ambulance on the way to the hospital and you take time out to go text your followers on YouTube or not text them, but post a community tab. Now, no, granted, that didn't take more than a minute or so. It's just not something I would think of when I was doing it. But the lie that I thought, and I don't think it's a lie now, but what caught my attention was that she told too much information. She said that her grandmother had a deep laceration on her left leg that needed sutures. To me, that sounds like medical words more than the average person would say, "Oh my gosh, my grandmother fell and cut her leg and it's really deep and we need to get stitches and we're on the way to the hospital." That's how I would be talking about it because I'm not a medical person. It could be because her the lady's grandson or son-in-law was there, grandson-in-law. The police officer that was at the home that's part of their family was able to help her and it may have been words that he used, or it may have been words that the ambulance EMTs used or paramedics. But normally you don't say that somebody cut their left leg. That to me, that's a little bit of extra, like extra detail. Now, the other flip side of that is people cannot tell you any details. So that can be a lie. So there's no set determination if you're not an expert at catching lies. There's no set thing. You either take people at their word or you side eye them. I think pretty much we side eye everybody. But what do y'all think? I mean, are there clues that kind of trigger you to think that somebody's lying? Anybody? Wasn't a policy for a few years. Oh, they're talking about that. Is anybody listening? Can y'all even hear me? So, okay, yes, you can hear me, or yes, you're listening, or yeah, too much detail and repeating it over and over. There are unnecessary details. So, do y'all like if somebody said, did y'all catch that the other day, or was it just me that saw that? Like her left leg. I mean, I don't know. It was something that caught my attention. I'm not saying she's lying. I don't have any reason to believe that she's lying about that. Um, Other than she's lied a lot before and lied about things that she did to me that she didn't do. Fortunately, she didn't do. But I have had personal, with that, with her. Um, Too much detail. Liars feel unnecessary. It was a bit too much. When people start a sentence with "I'm not going to lie," yeah, I'm being honest with you. That's a trigger. But I hear people say that a lot, and I don't. My personal opinion is it's not. If I'm being honest, my personal opinion is it's not always a lie, but it is something to spot because I've said it before, and it's not something I normally say, and I try to be an honest person. Uh, You agree with some of the things of spotting a liar? Is there a real emergency? You don't have to. Yeah, I just if I was in the back of an ambulance, which you can't even do in my state, you have to get in the passenger seat because there's not adequate well, it's just safer not to be back there. And also the paramedics need room to get to their patient. But somebody, I think it was Amber, somebody came in here the other day and said they had just been in the back of an ambulance with a relative, which I don't think you can do that here. Hey, 71. Trick or treat, 71. So here are some stalling tactics. Here are some 10 telltale phrase. And we're going to watch a couple of videos. One's got, I know, like Chris Watts and Scott Peterson, and I haven't been able to find anybody who's going through the Leilani Simon videos to bring out look for the lies in her mother and the grandmother and everything. I haven't been able to find that. If anybody knows of one, I would love to look at that. But I'm just going to read you, and we're going to discuss right now, and then we're going to watch some videos. And we may watch the videos of the grandmother and Leilani again while we're going through this to see if we can spot anything. So number one, this is according to entrepreneur.com. I don't know what they know about lie detection, but they're saying, well, this is based upon Pamela Meyer, who did a TED Talk. Or she claimed that in her TED Talk that we're lied to 10 to 200 times a day. So if you're watching YouTube all day long, well, chances are you're getting lied to more than that. People lie. It's just human nature. We lie. We don't always. If you tell the truth 100% of the time, like if I said, "Do you like my hair?" and somebody was like, "God, I hate her hair," but they said to me, "Oh, I love your hair." Well, that would be a lie, but you don't wanna lie to people who you, are in relationship with when they like a husband, like a wife asking her husband, "Does this outfit make me look fat?" And is he gonna say, "Yeah, you do. You need to lose some weight." No, he's gonna say, "No, you look great." And that's a lie. Hey, Jill, getting your labs from the doctor, Texas. Most ambulances don't allow someone to ride in the back. Yeah, especially if you have a car right there that you could follow along in, Ebel. But I'm just saying, I don't even know if I don't know that that was a lie. I'm just it caught my attention at the time that that the detail that caught my attention was more the left, that she hurt her. If I fell, okay, I fell running down the street that day last year. It was about a year ago, a little less than a year ago, and crashed my face into the pavement and bloodied my knee and fell on my wrist and stuff. I didn't even know at the time which foot, like, I guess you would know if you were bleeding, but then she said she was bleeding from both legs, so I don't know. Um, I fell and I didn't say I fell on, I did. I rolled my ankle. I fell and I rolled my ankle and I fell on my face. That's kind of how I described it. I didn't describe it as I rolled my left ankle and fell on my right wrist. I just called them wrist and ankles and face and you know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? Does it at all? Enough trouble. Yeah, they don't have room. They don't have time for that. Hey, Angie. All right. So one is a stalling tactic. What if someone asks if you're angry and you say no because you're really sad instead? Is that a lie by just saying no? Well, I think if you clarify, then you would definitely not be lying. But there's also a little anger in sadness. So Jill, I don't know. I guess it was I guess it would be the importance of the difference. Does it matter that you're angry instead of sad? I guess you would tell them the correct thing. I mean, we're talking about lies. A lie's a lie. And we all know some lies are bigger. Did you kill your son? No, no, I didn't do that. Somebody else did it. Well, were you sad about it or angry? I don't know. I don't know, Jill. I'm just saying a lot. If you're lying, you're lying, and we all lie, and we've all been lied to. So, when it comes to true crime, or when it comes to crime in general, or your job, or people who you want to trust you, when you lie to them, it takes away from that. It takes away from people being able to trust you. It's a white lie, yeah. Yeah, that's true. That's true, Roddy. Nobody really, in that case, nobody really wants to know your every detail. Are you having a good day? You don't really want them to come on and say, because don't you like when somebody goes, you see somebody that hey, are you having a good day? How's your life? And if they start in, well, yesterday my grandmother took me down to the store and she wouldn't buy me anything. And then I got a bunion on my toe and I had to put it in. I had to get my husband to get a needle and get that thing off of me. And I was in so much pain. And then my sister's mother-in-law's aunt was all over me and she was doing all this stuff. And then she said that I said, well, all that is just bullshit, right? Yes, pointing the finger at somebody else. Stalling tactics. While it's natural to repeat part of a question, like restating the entire question is unnecessary. So they'll repeat the question back. Did you do it? And they answer, did I do it? Of course not. There's a good chance they're covering something up. Other stalling tactics include asking to have a question repeated or playing dumb and asking for more information. Well, asking for more information isn't a lie in itself, but it just depends on, huh? What? Yeah, exactly, Jill. Please don't ask me how I'm doing. If don't you have people in your life you don't want to ask them how they're doing? Yep. Yeah, they love lies more than the truth. Well, and that's the thing with, true crime. You've got these people who are, you've got we people running around and why does one case get all the attention and another doesn't? Because the drama in it. It's the drama. There's so much drama in this Quentin Simon case because the protesters are out there. The all of us YouTube people are covering the case. It just happens with these cases that why do we pick on a certain case? Why don't we do this with all the missing children? What gets the drama going? It's a lot of it is the people who aren't involved in the actual case. Skipping contractions. I did not do it. So people say I didn't do it, they'll say I did not do it. Instead of saying I didn't do it, they'll say I did not do it. Or they'll say I cannot remember instead of I can't remember. They're basically overselling their lie by trying to sound more powerful and less refutable. Um, I mean, that's something that I wouldn't catch because I say contractions a lot. Making sweeping statements. I would never or I always, and I catch myself sometimes and I'll say I always or I would never because I catch myself that that's going to be deceptive because we exaggerate. So we'll say I would never do such and such and such and such, and then a week later you're doing it, and that's gonna be taken at people are gonna especially in this drama community, in people are gonna say, "Well, you're lying." It is offensive when people, accuse you of being a liar. Playing dumb kills me, yeah. Hey, Jar. That's pretty interesting because I don't know that yeah. I wouldn't catch a contraction. Yeah, I don't know why she does that. Alright. So you need to be careful when you're talking to not use words like never, always. You can say I seldom. Like I'm not going to sit here and say I never lie because I know I do. And the looking to the left and the looking to the right, that's not necessarily a lie. People don't always. That doesn't necessarily mean somebody's lying. Yeah, I'm going to be honest now. That's a sure sign that you're lying. Um, To be honest, liars often overemphasize their truthfulness by adding words or phrases to a statement that are meant to make them sound more convincing. However, the actual effect is usually the opposite. By adding phrases that emphasize they're telling the truth, the speaker loses credibility and weakens the argument. So, overemphasizing truthfulness includes to be honest, to tell the truth. Believe me, let me be clear. The fact is, hedging their statements. At first, I thought that said hedgehogs. Hedging their statements. As far as I recall, I don't remember. Like, okay, so with Leilani Simon, she doesn't remember anything that happened that morning to her son. The FBI supposedly told her that she killed her son and dumped his body or dumped something in a dumpster. And she's like, I didn't do that. I didn't do that. Hey, Michelle K. Okay, and then another one is they avoid the I statements. People use many techniques to distance themselves from the truth or to avoid accountability and responsibility for their actions. Liars often remove themselves from the story by referencing themselves less when making deceptive statements. They will avoid using pronouns like I, mine, and myself. They talk in the third person. Um, Dodging a direct answer. Do you really think I would do such a thing? Like that, I've heard that one. I wouldn't do that. What would make you think I did that? It's just dodging. I wouldn't do such a thing rather than straightforward, I didn't do it. Like you've heard people say, I wouldn't I wouldn't beat my son. Well, did you or didn't you? You still didn't answer the question. When you're saying terms like that, like I wouldn't hurt you. Well, say I won't hurt you. I won't hurt you. That's a fact that you're saying you're not going to do it. So then if you did it, it might be accidental. Yeah, that's true, Jill. Sometimes people have a lot on their minds. Yeah, that's true. And we all like you can look at eyewitness testimony of things and everybody has different, everybody sees different things and it's so much of that's not just based on what you saw that day, but your whole history of what you've seen and how you interpret things. And we interpret things differently. We do. We can hear the same thing and totally interpret it a different way. Yeah. Oh wow, Abel. That's terrible. Okay, so then the next one we're going to how can you doubt me? That's a defensive mode that people use. People who are telling the truth tend to just assume they've been believed and usually aren't offended if asked a follow up question or for additional proof. Don't let someone's skepticism upset you. That will just make things worse. True liars cover their tracks and are undetectable and will do the total opposite of what you expect and are unpredictable. Hey, Anonymous. Burnt popcorn. Da, da, da. Remember when we were moving kids from the homes I would have to tell them that if it was going to be okay because I don't know what they're saying broken. That's all kind of mismatched. You can, me too, Juror. But sometimes I'm wrong. Don't you have something better to do? Why are y'all talking about me? Why are you always talking about me? Have you heard that from somebody? Why do you want to know this? That's not important. Don't you have something better to do? What are you talking about? I don't even know you. Have you heard those kind of things? I've heard those a lot in here. Embellishing embellishing insignificant details while avoiding important ones. Can't even talk today. So, liars are eager to convince you they are telling the truth and will try to add details to make their story more believable, which actually makes your story less believable. If a person is lying, they tend to offer surplus information without prompts, and they may repeat certain phrases as they try to buy themselves time. Remember all those lies Casey Anthony told? Oh, we're at Disney World. The baby's over here. She last pla and she actually drugged the police out there with her and was lying the whole time. Didn't even I mean, the girl was lying. Embellishing insignificant details while avoiding important ones. So, we've got a video. Let me see. Hey, Sherry. Uh, all right. Let's see here. Let's play this one. This is going to show some of the. This has got. Hold on a minute. Got to pull it over here. This is going to talk about some stuff with Scott Peterson. How do y'all like them apples? All right. And got to put that on there. Put that on there. All right. Let's watch this for a minute. I hope we've got enough juice in our I hope we have enough juice here in our stream yard to play this. All right. Y'all ready? Here we go.
Or grooming gestures like fixing. There are a number of myths about deception detection. People believe that if someone looks away or gaze aversion is an indicator of deception, or bringing the hand to the mouth or the jaw, that could also be an indicator of deception. Or grooming gestures like fixing their hair or settling the clothing and so forth, or fidgeting in your chair. All those things are potential indicators of deception, but there's
Remember that. So potential. All these things are potential. If you spot somebody doing a certain thing, it doesn't mean they're lying. It's a potential. You're not if people were experts and and it's not even a scientific, it's not even accepted in court when you do a lie detector test. So there is no hey Amber's alerts. There is no 100% accurate lie detector that's available to be used in court. So it's not always don't think if we talk about something today and then you see somebody doing it that they're automatic that's a lie. Just remember that.
No universal indicator of deception. Profiling, active listening, interview and interrogation, and deception detection. We also study, teach, consult on, and conduct investigative interviews. But the goal of both of them is to get accurate and reliable information. To get there, one of the tools that we use is deception detection, where we take a holistic approach at looking at many different types of indicators. We look at fight or flight, cognitive complexity, and perception management as 3 different ways of detecting deception. Fight or flight is nothing more than noting the physiological changes that occur when someone's under stress. Stress can indicate lying. For example, decrease in salivation. It'll make somebody swallow deeply.
Decrease in salivation. That's something that I didn't know. So they get thirsty. And remember when what's her name did the cartwheels in the interrogation room?
Or increase
Amber Alert, you didn't even say hi to me. Amber, you didn't say hi to me.
increased heart rate or increased adrenaline to the hands and legs, because our primitive brain wants to tell us to either stand and fight.
People do believe their own lies a lot of times, Amber. If you're like sociopath or have some other mental defects, pathological liars, people often believe their own lies. That's what's so hard about it, is they actually believe themselves. Oh, you did? Sorry, Amber. Well, you should really make a big deal about speaking to me. It's my channel. Why do you have a plunger on your head?
Or run away. So it provides extra energy to your limbs. When you're sitting there in an interrogation and you want to run, but you can't, many times you'll fidget with your hands or your...
I'm fidgety anyway. I've got something in one of my left hand. And so when people are like, oh, you can detect a lie because they're fidgety. Well, I fidget all the time. Like, I'm just a fidgety person. But doesn't mean, yeah, and some are good at retelling lies. That's true.
legs, or you'll bring them up and then try to cover them in a grooming gesture. When Jodi Arias was brought in for questioning after her boyfriend was brutally murdered, she was sitting there and being observed by a police camera. Now, many suspects will experience nervous energy, and when they're preparing to lie, that can come out in minor fidgeting or grooming gestures, but sometimes there's gross body movements, and there's no better example of this than when Jodi Arias got up from the chair and went over to the wall and did a handstand for several seconds to sort of burn off that nervous energy. It's a perfect example of fight or flight.
So, you know, when you have fight or flight, when that happens, you have all this extra energy. That's how people are able to rescue people who are in, you need that extra boost of adrenaline. It makes you, and if you're having to sit still when you've got that burst of adrenaline, you're over here like, how am I going to get out of this? I just killed my boyfriend, and what am I going to do? And she does a headstand. I mean, it's crazy. Twisted your hair since you were a baby. Yeah, I mean, I have been biting at my nails a lot lately, more than usual, and it's something that I've done my whole life, but I actually completely quit for a while, and now I've been getting a little bit. Who's Jodi? Who are y'all even talking about over here? Yeah, you got to get up and walk around and get some of that energy out. That adrenaline's going through you, and you are going to get shaky.
The concept of cognitive complexity is that when people lie, they try to keep it as simple as possible. They also lie typically only about two senses, what they hear and what they see. They don't necessarily add how it smelled or spatial relationships or interactions with other people. And they typically keep it on a very shallow level.
You said you played video games all day on Friday?
Yeah.
Is it just between the time period that he's asking about, or just literally all day?
Literally all day.
So if you think about it as cutting an onion in half, and you look at the rings of that onion, typically liars will lie about the first ring, where they were that day, and maybe who they were with.
At moments, not really hanging out with too many people, talking to too many people.
But if you drill down and ask them questions about what did they do during that time? What were they watching on TV? Who won the football game? Who scored the last touchdown? Typically, that will fall apart.
Hey, Papa Midnight, welcome.
Maybe I'm gonna my days next time.
Okay.
And if you talk to one of their co-defendants and they give you different answers, the fact that they're lying really stands out. Perception management is when the suspect tries to behave in a way they think the interviewer would expect from somebody giving a truthful statement. So the suspect might believe that fidgeting would indicate lying. So they'll be very still when they're telling the lie so as not to give it away. But the fact is, throughout the other time, they may have been fidgeting all the time. And then the stillness is actually the indicator that they're.
So a fidgety person like myself often, gets, I'm trying to hide that I'm fidgety. That could be a sign. I don't know what y'all are talking about in chat. Hey, Papa Midnight again.
They're deceiving. Then we look at verbal, nonverbal, and non-linguistic verbal communication. Verbal indicators of deception can include words such as like, sort of, almost, kind of. When words like that are interjected in a sentence, what follows is something that the teller doesn't even have confidence in. For example, I sort of did my homework, or I started to go to work. That indicates that someone didn't finish the task that they claim to have done. Nonverbal behavior that could indicate deception are changes in body movements and actions on the part of the interviewee.
Yeah, Maisie, I agree with that. You're going to have times when if you have anxiety, like I already have anxiety. So going into a situation that I have not been in before, like going in, if I were to go in and testify or be questioned at a police station, I've never done that. I would be so nervous, especially if I was being accused of something. I would just be, whether I did it or not, it would be a new, uh, it would be a new experience for me. I get anxiety about going out with friends to someplace I've never been, just because it's not regular for me.
Once you've normed an individual, you look for changes in their behavior. Someone who's been sitting straight and answering questions directly and looking right in your eyes and being very attentive might become fidgety, strange movements, leg shaking, arms moving, grooming gestures, straightening clothes when they're under the stress of lying. So you have to look at changes in those physical behaviors. Non-linguistic verbal indicators of deception could be an increase in the pace of talking, an increase or decrease in the volume, a change in pitch. Sometimes when people are lying, the stress makes their voice go up a few octaves. And that can be an indicator that you need to drill down on to determine whether they're lying about the thing that you're investigating. The goal of looking for indicators of deception is to then find the areas where you want to drill down deeper and ask more probing questions, ask in different orders, and ask questions around them that may undermine and contradict the things that they've told you earlier. When Scott Peterson was interrogated about the disappearance of his pregnant wife, Lacey, he also gave indicators of deception.
When did you realize you were going to go fishing?
Oh, that was a morning decision. It's either
That was a morning
go play golf at the club or go fishing.
Go play golf at the club or go fishing. And it was cold, and I had a body I had to get rid of, right, Scott? Oh, wow, Jill. Sure, I was hooked on JCS. I would, I don't know who y'all were talking about.
Okay.
Seemed too cold to go play golf at the club. So.
It was too cold to go play golf at the club, so he jumped in a boat and went out on a boat on the water. That didn't make any sense. It's cold.
Yeah, just decided to, 9:30 or whatever than that.
There's a major difference between hearing and listening. Hearing is the thing that your ear does. It's receiving sound vibrations. But listening is actually cognitively participating in what you're hearing. And so if you're writing something down while somebody's talking to you, you can't actively listen. And I'd like to mention the fact that this officer is questioning Scott Peterson and writing down his answers rather than looking at his behavior is a big mistake. What he should be doing is letting someone else write down the answers so he could observe Scott Peterson's behavior. A lot of the behaviors that we look for when we're trying to detect deception are very common, and you can see it in public statements all the time. For example, when President Nixon made that infamous "I'm not a crook" statement.
Because people have got to know whether or not their president is a crook. Well, I'm not a crook.
He said, "And I think too that I can say."
And I think too that I can say
That in my public life, I welcome this kind of investigation.
that in my years of public life, that I welcome this kind of examination.
He was so nervous about having to say that statement that he had to build up his courage by saying, "I think too that I can say." It's extraneous information. The pace of his speaking increases radically.
That I welcome this kind of examination. I welcome this kind of examination.
And that's a non-linguistic verbal indicator of deception. It's again a change in behavior that's a red flag that I would dive deeper into if I was interrogating him about this. So when we're assessing President Nixon's statements, we look at perception management, verbal, nonverbal, and non-linguistic verbal clues to determine if he's actually lying. During the Whitewater investigation against President
So, how many were here when? How many in my chat were even here when Nixon was president, or even alive? And have any of you ever been lied to where you told the person, "I know you're lying to me"? I mean, it's hard. Like you don't want to call somebody a liar who's lying straight to your face. But do you actually? I mean, do you continue to like be friends with somebody who's lying to you, or do you just put an end to that? Like you lie to me, like you weren't born yet. I don't know. With me, I just when somebody lies to me, I don't forget that they lied to me. So it changes my relationship. But doesn't mean you can't have relationship. Oh, hey, Brandy. Stupid work. Tell the stupid work to behave.
Clinton. He was accused of having a sexual relationship with one of the interns at the White House, Monica Lewinsky. And he denied that emphatically. But there were a lot of indicators of deception in his denial.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman.
In this clip, President Clinton is clearly trying to manage the perceptions of the public. He says, "I want to say something to the American people.
But I want to say one thing to the American
Proof
people.
71.
I want you to listen to me.
I want you to listen to me. I'm going to say this again.
I'm going to say this again." 3 statements in order to set up what he's about to say, instead of simply stating it. When you're telling facts, you simply have to state them. When you're telling a lie, you have to convince the people that what you're about to say is the truth. And that's what I believe he's doing. President Clinton is a very smart man, and he's using very carefully chosen words here. What President Clinton says here is that he did not have sexual relations with that woman.
It all came down to what is defined as sexual relations, and that's how that all plays out. You know, it's whatever is right. That's what it came down to. Yeah, that's true, Gary. Chris Watts' case, the porch interview, the way he acted when the neighbor next door had video of his truck from the night before. Oh, 71, like my family, I got a family of lying people. Like I got a family of lying people. Don't they lie to me all the time? Yeah, plead the fifth. That's right, Roddy. We've all we've all heard plenty on YouTube proclaim they are not a crook. Exactly. I'm not doing anything wrong. Why do you hate me? Why? All the time.
Sexual relations with that woman.
That woman being Monica Lewinsky. But he uses the term that woman to distance himself from Monica Lewinsky, when in fact, we all now know that he did have a sexual relationship with her. He also uses the words sexual relations.
I did not have sexual relations with that woman. Sexual relations with that woman.
He's using those specific words because he wants people to have a very strict interpretation of what he's saying. What he's doing is committing a lie of omission. He's saying he didn't have sexual relations with Monica Lewinsky, but what he's not saying is the guilty behavior of having sexual activity with her. He's implying that nothing happened, when in fact all he's saying is we didn't engage in sexual intercourse. So it's a misdirection and a deception, but carefully clad in very specific language that appears to be a denial when it's not a denial at all. That's what I would drill down on to find out what he actually did with Monica Lewinsky. After every confession, the investigator should drill down into the details, both with the person who's confessing and outside, to verify or refute the details.
So it's just a matter of knowing what clues to look for and then being able to determine the situation. And there's a lot. I mean, you have to know a lot. And I just, like I said before, there's been times in my life where I just didn't trust the damn person. Like I didn't trust anybody. Yeah, it does burn popcorn. I mean, and what upset Monica was that he called her that woman. He was wanting, he wasn't asking her to lie, and she was in love with him. So it was a big thing for her. And I do feel sorry for her. I do.
Details of that confession. When there's inconsistency between known fact and what somebody says in a confession, that undermines the credibility of the confession. Many times cases will be successful or fall apart based on what happens during the course of an investigative interview. So we use behavioral analysis principles to determine whether a confession is accurate and reliable or a false confession. The thing is that every person is an individual, and we have to make sure that we take a holistic look at all of these things and the entire behavior that a human being exhibits when they're undergoing interview or interrogations.
So basically, you've got to, if you think somebody's lying and you're interrogating them, which I don't think any of us here are in that position, you can't take one little thing that they say as a lie and, take them to court over it. You're not, but it can lead the investigation in certain ways. Poor Monica was young and dumb. Yeah, she was. Have you watched any of the documentaries about there's a documentary, there's a movie or a mini-series, I think, not a mini-series, that's what we used to call them back in the 70s and 80s. There's a series about Monica with an actress, and then there's also a documentary with her, and I found it to be educational and entertaining as well, because you hear things now that you didn't hear then, seeing it acted out. Yeah, well, supposedly she was going to wear the blue dress, and then she got talked out of it. She was going to get it clean. 500 notifications a day. I don't know what's worse, not getting notifications from some creators as a sub or being sub to Mail online. Yeah, you can unsubscribe to those email lists. Yeah, you got to keep your eyes on people. How many here put a 1 in the chat if you have ever like broken off a friendship with somebody because of the lies? Just because you can't trust them. I will. I'll start out. Me. I'm about to lose this again. All right. Doo-doo-doo. Okay, I want to do something. I want to do this. Just a second. I want to look at this video clip of Quentin's mother and grandmother, and let's see if we spot anything that we'd wonder if that's being deceptive. Body language, mouth movement, micro expressions. That's something else that you have to look into. I don't think I'm here. Oh. All right. Micro expressions and things like that, or something that I'm not. The arms crossed being defensive. Why did that not share? There we go. Oh, everything's taking so long today. It's not working. All right. Y'all can see it. You should be able to. Let's watch them.
It's been almost 3 weeks since anyone has reportedly seen Quentin's 20-month-old update for the only.
I'm gonna clip these together. These clips. These parts where the.
To play Lonnie Simon about.
I'm gonna clip these together in a video so they'll be easier to watch. Because we don't know if they're gonna go back. Chop. I know. It's not letting me share and stuff. Damn it. Okay, I'm gonna give it a second to connect. Hey, CLM. Can you hear me now?
Simon's driveway and banging on their windows and doors. When I spoke with Leilani and her mother, Billy Howell, they told me that some people have gone so memorial, which they say disrespects his memory.
This is just part of what they said. It would be fabulous to have the whole interview unedited from this news channel, but we don't have it. Oh, Jill, I'll have to look into that. I just wrote that down. I will look into that. That would interest me. Thank you.
Hard to even process what's going on around us. We get to the point that we have to barricade our own home in order to feel safe in our backyard. We can't even process what's happening.
I don't know. What she's saying here gets me because my son, okay, her son is missing. Supposedly they're looking for him. Well, they are looking for his little body in the landfill. And I'm sure these protests and doing all this stuff, but look, your baby's missing. and you didn't do anything about it. And that's what you're going to talk about when you finally get to say something? Like, why don't you say I didn't do it? That thing about
In
I
our
don't
backyard.
remember.
Point that we have to barricade. Point that we have to barricade our own home. If we get to the point that it's hard to even process what's going on around us. If we get to the point that we have to barricade our own home in order to feel safe in our backyard.
Grandma over here is pursing her lips. She is pursing her lips. 1 second. I just don't have any internet today. It's just really slow. Oh, look. Here's how to spot a liar by their mouth. Let's see what this one says. Lion lips. Howdy, hippie chick. What's so funny? I made a short out of a video the other day because YouTube's pushing shorts on us, and they made it where you can make shorts out of your videos, and then you just get this little clip. It goes in through the app. You make the little clip, and then it also feeds people back to the video. And so I made a clip the other day, and right in the middle of it, I left it in because it was funny. I was saying hi to hippie chick. I don't know if y'all saw that or not, but you're famous, hippie chick. Happy chick.
Is we can't even process what's happening everywhere else. Or
We can't even process what's happening everywhere else. Your child is missing. Who could process that? Like, who are you trying to convince? Poor, pitiful you, Leilani.
I don't have the time to do so. I can't even walk out and appreciate my own son's memorial or put down the gifts that I got for him.
I can't even put gifts out for him. Your son is missing. What the fuck does it matter if you can't put gifts out on the memorial? This is just ignorant, lady. Where's the truth in what you're saying? And the pursed lips. Let me go back because I pulled that up. Lips convey a lot of information that is often ignored or not even observed. The lips react in real time to the world around us. So when people receive bad news or witness a horrific event, their lips begin to disappear. What's happening to your lips, Grandma? Becoming very thin as vasoconstriction takes place. Under extreme stress, they disappear completely or are compressed together. What you doing, Grandma? Is it because she's lying or you don't want to lie? Or what you're about to say is going to be a lie? Tightening or compressing of lips. Because disappearing or compressed lips are universal behaviors controlled by the limbic system. These are behaviors that can be relied upon and are authentic. We don't realize how our lips look and feel, but others will notice. Lip biting, like lip compression, is one of the ways that we pacify ourselves when we are stressed. It also helps relieve tension that may be minor and transitory. However, okay. So what do y'all think? Y'all think Grandma's, what's she hiding? Is she hiding what this not believing her daughter? So she's just, because you see her talk and she doesn't always have her lips like that. Yeah, you have to observe. Yeah. Maybe infamous. Yeah, you're infamous. Yeah, turn yourself in. Poor thing can't go out there and put stuff that she went and bought. When did you go shopping for Quentin? You were going shopping for Quentin? Did you ever buy him stuff when he was alive? And you want him to come hug you and hold you? Did you ever hold him and hug him? the behavior panel guys do that as well. I'm going to check out, observe. Okay.
We can't even go out there and do that without harassment and negligence and just
And see, again, we covered this yesterday, but why does she keep bringing up, why does she say negligence? What's that got to do with protesters? Protesters aren't negligent. You're negligent because you weren't taking care of your children. Well, what does that got to do? Oh, now grandma's covering her face.
negligence and just everything. It's devastating to see that this is how the outside world reacts.
My son is missing. Please help me find my son. Can anybody we can to find our baby? No, I can't even go out to my front yard and put stuff out that I bought for Quentin. You say you think he might be coming home. Why would you want to put something on his memorial? There's another lie. Yeah, they did. They said she lies all the time. I saw that, Amber, yesterday. She's happened to keep her mouth shut because she doesn't believe her daughter. Yes, because she knows the truth. Well, she knows a version of the truth. She may not, if grandma wasn't there that day, she doesn't, he is and everything, but we don't know that the daughter didn't. Well, she probably is lying about it. She probably told her, I don't know where he is. The babysitter must have done it. Danny must have done it. Wonder if she felt the baby crying was harassing her rest. Yes, exactly. Maybe when you were coming off that cocaine, you were in a place where you just didn't feel well, because I've done it. And you feel really, 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 really way up here high. But when you crash, oh my God, you crash and all you want to do is sleep. You want to sleep. You don't want to be bothered. You don't want a baby around. It's crazy. There's so many lies showing up in here. And I wish we could, again, I want somebody who's an expert at this to watch these videos and show us. I got to find somebody. Yeah, they weren't normal. They weren't what you would picture a normal, happy family. And well, a young mother, she's 22 years old with 3 children with different fathers, and the fathers weren't part of their lives. So where, and you're doing drugs and you're a liar and you do all this stuff. Where were you? So sad.
Leilani tells me that they've put up security cameras around the home as well as floodlights, and that they've had to move Quentin's memorial away from the street to keep unwanted attention away from it. Leilani and I also talked about the fact.
And I'm not for the protesters being there either. I'm not for that. I'm not for the way they're knocking on windows and playing lullabies and playing kids crime music, because let the police handle this stuff. Let the police handle it. You're going to get somebody hurt or killed.
That she is the prime suspect in Quentin's disappearance, but she says that she's not going anywhere. I'll have more on that story coming up on the news at 6.
Now, Shay will have more from that park. Last week, Chatham County.
They just infuriate this family. Just infuriates me. Infuriates me. I can't even with them. Let me see what I've got here. I'm just gonna look. I don't know if I'm gonna be able. I'm gonna get all kinds. In this video, because I'm showing other people's work. Yeah, the kids were born with drugs in their system, and she was able to keep her children there because her mother was enabling her. Her mother was enabling her. So remember that when you're enabling people to do things. you're giving people money to buy drugs, if you're giving people the ability to abuse their children or not be there for their children, not take care of their children in the right way, you're helping the problem.
Major advancements to deception detection have been becoming more and more critical, which has spawned researchers to develop new strategies and techniques to help police and other investigators improve their abilities. Some of the traditional practices stem from very early theories, which assume that liars exhibit stress-based cues due to fear of being caught or feelings of guilt. These theories led researchers to search for reliable behavioral indicators of deception. They examined behaviors such as posture shifts, gaze aversion, and even foot and hand movements, without much success at all. Though some specialists may assert that there's really no Pinocchio's nose when speaking of behavioral deception detection, others may say that this form of detection still holds merit. Now, let's look at some possible examples of why that is so. This is Stuart Hazel. Stuart was living with and dating a woman named Christine. He was relatively close to her daughter Natalie and granddaughter Tia. On the weekend of August 3rd, 2012, 12-year-old Tia Sharp went missing. Due to an initial lack of evidence, but a consistent report that Tia's grandmother Christine was the last person to see Tia, Christine and Stuart's house was searched multiple times. On August 9th, 2012, following a plea by Tia's father and uncle for her return, Stuart Hazel participated in an interview for ITV News. This interview has been studied extensively by professionals, as well as many others who followed the case.
I know damn well it was 12:10. I called into my clock because as I was hoovering up the dog's mess by my kitchen, I look up and I've got a great big clock in front of me on the cooker that says 12:10.
Now listen, you've been living in house arrest basically almost for the last 7 days almost now. How's that been?
Oh, it's been horrible. It's been horrible. Do you know what I mean? The family's we're stuck inside here, do you know what I mean? We've got on and they asked me stupid questions yesterday, like, oh, did you do anything? I said, well, no, I didn't. Excuse my language, but no, I didn't. I'd never think of that. I'd love her to be, she's like my own daughter, for God's sake. We had that sort of relationship. It was that sort of thing. It was just, do you know, she wanted it, she got it. She's got a loving home. She's never gone without anything, so I can't work it out. What the hell's going on? Where we're out there, they want to report the truth.
Do you feel under pressure? Do you feel that perhaps the people are looking at you?
Well, if they believe what they read in the papers, they can do whatever they like. Because I know deep down in my heart that Tia walked out of my house. She walked out there, and I know damn well because she was seen walking down the pathway. I know she made that track down to that way. What happened after that is I don't know.
Tia Sharp was found the next day on the law enforcement's third search of Christine and Stuart's home. She was located in the attic, wrapped in a black bed sheet and stuffed into a black bag. Investigators located memory cards, which were hidden in the doorframe. These memory cards contained images of Tia sleeping, as well as voyeuristic videos of Tia while she was alive. They also contained photos and images of Tia being posed in sexual positions after she was murdered. Two of the main behavioral or physical observations regarding deception detection during this interview of Stuart Hazel are the change in color of Stuart's ears while he speaks during the interview. Body language experts have gone on to
change in ear color. Wow.
explain that as the blood pressure increases due to stress or guilt, the fine capillaries located in the ear are subject to become more red. Another interesting observation is in which the direction that Stuart seems to be looking. Stuart seems to look down during each response. There is a common belief that men who look downwards while as women who look upwards are more observations in mind.
I know damn well it was 12:10. I called into my clock because as I was hoovering
Wow, look how red his ears are getting.
up the dog's mess by my kitchen, I look up and I've got a great big clock in front of me on the cooker that says 12:10.
Now listen, you've been living in house arrest basically almost for the last 7 days almost now. How's that been?
Oh, it's been horrible. It's been horrible. Do you know what I mean? The families, we're stuck inside here. Do you know what I mean? We've got all the papers outside, all putting accusations down, and they asked me stupid questions yesterday, like, "Oh, did you do anything? I said, well, no, I didn't. Excuse my language, but no, I didn't. I'd never think of that. I'd love her to bits. She's like my own daughter, for God's sake. We had that sort of relationship. It was that.
Did you see where he said, I would never, or hear what he said, I would never? He didn't say I didn't. He said, I would never. We talked about that a minute ago, or a few minutes ago.
Sort of thing. It was just, you know, she wanted it, she got it. She's got a loving home. She's never gone without anything, so I can't work it out. What the hell's going on? We're all out there. They want to report the truth.
So do you feel under pressure? Do you feel that perhaps the people are looking at you?
Well, if they believe what they read in the papers, they can do whatever they like. Because I know deep down in my heart that Tia walked out of my house. She walked out there, and I know damn well because she was seen walking down the pathway. I know she made that track down to that way. What happened after that is I don't know.
Now, let's look at another example. This is Karen Matthews. On Tuesday, February 19th, 2008, 9-year-old Shannon Matthews was reported missing by her mother, Karen, at 6:48 p.m. following a school swimming trip. The following day, on February 20th, Karen took part in an interview for BBC News.
Shannon, if you're out there, please, darling, come home. I love you so much. Me, your dad, your brothers, your sisters, everybody loves you. Your dad's missing you so much, Shannon. He's even out for you for you. Please come home, Shannon, if you're out there, come home. If anybody's got my daughter, my beautiful Prince's daughter, please bring her home safe.
Many body language experts that have spoken on this interview will state that this initial video is actually impressively deceiving. She maintains relatively normal timing with her answers to questions. She doesn't seem to overly suppress her body language or mannerisms, and the bags under her eyes somewhat contribute to a believable deception. Only a couple things can actually be pointed out from this video. The one main observation that I have come across is called a gestural slip. This is a very slight gesture, which tends to give the impression that the deceiver is not confident with the answer that they are providing, or that they have no idea. If both shoulders were to have raised in a shrug, that is a common and general indication of being unsure. However, when a person only has a subtle single shoulder reaction, as depicted in this interview, it is believed that there is a contradiction between the mind and the body with what they are saying. It is almost like a suppression of a natural reaction. Shannon Matthews was actually being held captive at her mother's boyfriend's house under the direction of her mother, Karen. Shannon was found alive and well just under a month later.
If you look at her right-hand shoulder on the left-hand side of the screen, watch a fraction of a second later.
In line with these previous examples, I wanted to go over one more, much more recent example, and that is the relatively well-known case of Chris Watts. As many of you already know, on the morning of August 12th, 2018, Chris Watts murdered his pregnant wife, Shanann, and his 2 young children, Bella and Celeste.
If y'all aren't paying attention, we're talking about Chris Watts now.
He drove them to an oil site that he was working on and buried Shanann in a shallow grave. He then suffocated his daughters and stuffed their bodies into 2 oil tanks. Bella and Celeste were later found to have oil inside their lungs, indicating that they may have woken up inside the oil tanks. During the days following, Chris quickly became a person of interest. However, despite Chris's involvement in a series of disturbing decisions, Chris took part in multiple TV interviews where he pleaded for their safe return.
Chris Watts, WATTS.
What's going on right now around your house?
Right now, it's got K9 units, the sheriff's department. Everybody's like they're doing the best right now to figure out like if they can get a scent, see where they went. If they went on foot, they went in a car, they went somewhere. Right now, it's just like they've been on point. They're going through the house trying to get a scent, and hopefully they can pick something up to where it's going to lead to something.
What happened? Your wife came home. Tell me what's
She came home from the airport 2 a.m. and I left around 5:15. She was still here.
A few observations from these clips that many body language experts have spoken out about are his crossed arms. This is typical of somebody who is feeling defensive or uncomfortable in a specific situation. Intense eye contact. Although it is more typical to see a deceiver find ways to avoid eye contact, like rubbing their eyes or looking upwards or downwards, in some cases, intense or strong eye contact can also be an indicator that a person is being deceitful. A pacifier gesture, which in this case would be Chris's subtle rock back and forth. This gesture is generally exhibited when somebody is experiencing fear or shock and is actually a defense mechanism which causes some relief of discomfort. Now, let's play a little bit more of this interview.
And like about 12:10 in that afternoon, her friend Nicole showed up at the door. Like I had texted Shanann a few times that day, called her, say, but she never got back to me, but she wasn't getting back to any of her people as well. And that's what really concerned a lot of people, is like, she's not getting back to her, like she doesn't get back to me, that's fine. Like she gets busy during the day, but she didn't get back to her people, which was very concerning. And Nicole called me when she was at the door, and that's when I came home. And then walked in the house, and nothing has vanished. Nothing was here. I mean, she wasn't here. The kids weren't here. Nobody was here. Shanann.
Something interesting that has been pointed out is the connection between how the fight or flight response works inside the brain. Basically, during a fight or flight response, a part of the brain known as the amygdala takes control, as it is trying to determine the correct response to whatever stimuli is making you feel nervous or pressured. The part of your brain known as the neocortex, which is responsible for speech articulation, becomes less powerful. When looking at Chris, what we start to see is him using more filler words, those words being like, or and. Another thing to keep watch for is Chris's blink rate. While your body is experiencing fight or flight, your nervous system causes a number of changes within the body. Some of these are a slowdown in blood flows, allowing less focus on our digestive system, and also a decrease in mucous membrane production, which can result in dry eyes. Due to this reaction causing dry eyes, you may see a person whom is trying to be deceitful, blinking more and more frequently. With these observations in mind, let's watch this again.
SHANANN.
What's your kids' name?
Bella and Celeste.
How do you spell it? Celeste.
CELESTE.
How old are your daughters?
4 and Bella's 4, Celeste is 3.
And so, how many times did you try calling her?
I called her 3 times, texted her about 3 times just to say, what's going on? Like, because after I called her and texted her once, it's like maybe she was just busy. Like she'd just gotten back. Like everybody's probably calling her from her trip. She just got back from Arizona, and I figured she was just busy. But when her friend showed up, that's what it was like. It registered like, all right, this isn't right.
Do you think she just took off? Do you think?
I mean, right now I don't even want to just like throw anything out there. Like, I hope that she's somewhere safe right now and with the kids. But I mean, could she just taken off out of?
He just seems like it's no big deal. He's just, I don't know. He just has that. I don't know. I couldn't do what he did and then just stand there and talk to anybody like this. I can't even imagine the mental state that you would be in to do that in the first place, and then to just talk about it calmly, like, I don't know where she is.
I don't know, but if somebody has her and they're not safe, like, I want them back now.
As stated earlier in this video, although these forms of deception detection hold some merit, they are absolutely not accurate enough to be relied on enough as indicators of guilt. Regardless, in many cases, these subtle behavioral cues have been enough to draw attention to a suspect who may later confess after further pressure is put onto them. Due to research proving that observing visual cues presented by the deceiver, such as lack of eye contact or restless fidgeting, may be unreliable, psychologists have now turned their focus onto what strategies can be used to elicit signs of deception. As quoted by psychology professor Maria Hartwig, the view now is that the interaction between the deceiver and the observer is a strategic interplay. The goal is to build a case against the suspect long before relying on behavioral body language cues. The more information or evidence gathered surrounding the crime.
Yeah, you can't build a case on believing that somebody is lying. You've got to have the evidence of all that. Kind of like currently with Quentin. I mean, they're trying to find some piece of evidence that can tie the suspect. We only have a prime suspect. So whoever's a suspect besides her, we don't know if there's any. People have misstated that she's been named the only suspect. She is the prime suspect. And so while she's a known liar, supposedly, according to her mother and stepfather or the man who's living in the house, base your, you can't base a fiction upon these lies. You have to prove that they're lies. You have to prove. Sorry, I keep getting kicked off. Yeah, I'm having issues. Remove. Okay, can you guys hear me? I got kicked off completely again. I want to finish this video before we go, for sure. I'm going to try it one more time and see. I don't know how much of it y'all saw or didn't see. I paused it when it. Am I double now? Yeah, it kicked me off again. I'm having StreamYard issues. I'm having a very unstable connection.
Where their goal is to make a long-lasting, convincing impression on the observer. This impression generally unravels as the details of their story are proven false and a shift in body language becomes more apparent. That said, the goal now is to make the deceiver talk as much as possible while slowly revealing more and more evidence against them, only presenting lighter evidence early on into the interrogation, while presenting the more seriously incriminating evidence later on into the interrogation. Before we get to any examples of this used inside the interrogation room, let's look at one very familiar interview that this channel has covered, in which a news anchor ironically used this technique on a suspect long before either party even realized he was one. This is Stephen McDaniel. On the night of June 26, 2011, Stephen attacked and strangled his neighbor and fellow classmate Lauren Giddings to death. He then spent the next couple days dismembering her body and executing his plan to dispose of it. Before realizing that Lauren's body was found, Stephen decided to take part in this news interview, claiming that he knew very little about Lauren's whereabouts.
And no one's heard from her since.
Did you see her hanging out with anyone at the time, anything like that?
No one has seen her since Saturday. I haven't seen anything. We've always heard noise outside, but it's just people walking by pretty much.
And she just recently graduated from Mercer?
Yeah, she and I were both JD students. We graduated back in May.
What kind of person was she? What did you see?
She's as nice as can be. Very personable, very much a people person.
Do you know any enemies she might have had, somebody that might want to hurt her?
No, we don't know where she is. The only thing we can think is that maybe she went out running and someone snatched her. Because we went over, one of her friends had a key, we went inside and tried to see if there was anything amiss, but she had a door jamb that was sitting right by it. There was no sign that anyone broke in. The door was locked when everyone got here. We just don't know where she is.
What about in the parking lot area? I know they've been doing a lot of. I think that's where they have recovered the body or whatever they recovered from there.
Body.
Have you heard? Have you seen anything there?
Here, we can see Stephen's fight or flight response kicking in. Stephen then chooses flight for a brief moment while he attempts to regain control of his body and mind.
Have you seen anything there? We don't know if this is the same person. You know what I mean? They took out a body there earlier. We don't know if it's the same person or not. That's how we're trying to ask people if they know who lived there. Are you okay, sir?
I think I need to sit down.
Okay.
As his amygdala takes control, his ability to articulate his sentences becomes greatly impaired. Instead of using filler words like what Chris Watts did, Stephen begins to let out some sort of sound effect.
You've been fighting for the bar?
No one had seen her since Saturday because we all just, there's not a whole lot of interaction unless we're doing classes.
Right.
And she was doing an online version of it.
You all studied together though?
we were in there's two different people that there's two companies that provide it. Kaplan provides it and Barbary provides it. I signed up with Barbary and I've been doing the lectures that they have in the mornings. She was doing the Kaplan online, so I hardly ever saw her. I would see her like go out running, but
what time would she go out running?
I don't even know when.
At night or morning?
I saw her like midday a couple weeks ago. That was the last time I saw her. Was coming back from the bar prep on the main campus because we got moved over there for a week or two.
But she normally would run. That was
right. She ran all the time. She had a group that she would go running with.
She ran all the time, but they asked him a minute ago, and he said, did she run in the day or well, she was running in the middle of the day. She ran all the time.
Another thing we can see very apparently is Stephen's blood pressure increasing, as well as a shift in anxiety resulting in some sort of hyperventilating.
I don't know anyone that would want to hurt her. She was as nice a person as there is.
Was she moving soon? Did you know anything about her?
Yeah. She was going to be moving out today. She was supposed to move out today because someone else was going to be moving into her apartment in New Boston.
Do you know if she was like, where's she from? She's from Maryland?
Yeah, she's from up in Maryland.
Can I pick up this on you so we can hear you? Is that all right?
Okay.
I'm so sorry. Yeah, you can just hold on.
Hey, little bit.
Thank you. Yeah, she's from Maryland.
Yeah, she was from up in Maryland. All her family was there, as far as I know. She.
What's going on in your mind right now? Like, what are you thinking?
Since I've already gone over this interview in the past, I am now going to move into the interrogation room.
Why would anyone do this?
Didn't hear anything?
No. I heard something. Maybe I could have helped.
Okay, don't worry.
All right.
Do you want to sit down first?
So that's the end of that. We don't have any more of that pulled up right now. Let me see if I had any other. Let me see what this is. Yeah, we're gonna stop these videos for now. We will. I want to come back to this. I want to come back to the lies and deception. And I want to have more, I want to find somebody who will come up and talk about it on my channel, on panel with me. If you know anybody who would be willing to do that. This was from JCS Inspired, Stay Awake, Crime and Psychology. So I'm gonna look into. I'm gonna go spend some time this afternoon trying to find somebody who will talk about the lies and deception that can be spotted in the Leilani and her mother BJ. If I can find somebody who will talk about that with me, it doesn't mean that they know everything, but I want to come back to this as I start doing some true crime stuff. It's really, I've been saying for a while, when a case comes along that grabs me, I'm going to be covering it. And I didn't know when that was going to happen, but I'm really grabbed by Quentin Simon and trying to get justice for him. And I'm really interested in this case. So I'm probably going to keep doing things about it. But I don't want to be the kind of creator who's just constantly, covering a crime day and night, just constantly. So I got to find a happy medium for me. But in the meantime, I do want to find somebody who has, and Jill, I did get your email about that person who said might come talk to me at some point. if that person would be interested in talking about how, I mean, I don't know that they know about this kind of stuff very much, but if we could find somebody who can come on panel and talk about lies and yeah, Jill, your husband, if he could, if you mentioned that he would talk to me, but I don't know if you meant he would come on panel or something. Maybe he would talk about lies. I don't know. I mean, I would think that as a defense attorney, he would know quite a bit about that, but that doesn't mean he has to be an expert. But anyway, I'm very grateful to those of you who have stuck with me during this live stream with all the StreamYard issues that I'm having. It seems to be having oh, really, Jill? Jill, I'm going to email you back to where you sent me an email the other day that you said you don't check very much or something. I've only emailed you in response to your emails, so that's how I got your email. So I don't. Oh, really, Jill? Well, email me. Let's set something up. I would love to. I would love to chat with him, have him come on and talk about it. We can do it day or night. What's ever convenient for him. I know I always go live during the morning, but I have been live once or twice in the afternoon, and I'm trying to get some different times that I go live. So anyway, yeah, I would really, really, really love if he would. And anyway, so always looking for new stuff to cover, and I've had some emails from different people that I try to answer everybody's email, and maybe you sent me about a murder case. Maybe it's on my list and I haven't got to it yet, especially the cold cases or the solved cases. Yeah, Bill, it's a tough one to watch, little Quentin. I mean, he is so adorable. And this case is a lot like the Casey Anthony case with the mother-daughter duo and, stuff like that. So, again, thanks for watching today. Thanks for bearing with the StreamYard issues. And I'll be back soon. And I want everybody, y'all take care of yourselves today. Be good to yourself. And that way you can be good to other people. And I'll see y'all soon. Bye.